What's up everyone, Julian here. Today gonna be showing you how to make Prodigy style classic breakbeat rave music. To go along with this video, you can get this full template at the top of the description. Definitely don't miss out while it's available, guys. Links right there. Go ahead and grab it. There's nothing else like this on the market, so grab it while it's available. Thanks for the support, everybody. Every little bit helps, and let's get started. We're at 140 BPM, and the first thing we got up here is gonna be these drums. So it starts up here just with a simple kick. We got this fat 909 kick. And just a nice fat 909 hi-hat, the foundation of every good groove. Right before you can get all these break beats and all this craziness around it, you have to just have, like that has to be smacking with the bass line like that. Then we have our break beats. So we've got 4 of these here. It starts with this one. Right, so it's like you get the drum, the kick, and the hi-hat. And this one's adding some nice mid-range. Then we move up to this. You know, just a little bit more action. You notice they're all doing different things, so as you start to put them together, it's going to create something. It's not just sort of layering together a bunch of similar sounds. We've also got this one. So now we're getting a bit more high end in it. That one's also got a little bit of a low cut. And then the last one here, I actually chopped, so it's like taking out that little 8th note there, and then that also works together with the crash. You get like a see how that creates a groove, and then you put all these breakbeats together. And there you go, it's grooving. Now, you'll notice with these breakbeats, there's not much processing really. It's really just converting them to mono if there's any phasing issues, maybe getting rid of some low end like with that one. But, you know, really what you should be looking for is breaks that already have a sound to them that you really like. That's really cool, and then you want to bring that in rather than trying to bring something in as like a blank slate and then add all this stuff to it. You really just want to focus on finding cool textures and bringing them into your track. The last element of the drums is the crash I was talking about. So I noticed this with a lot of these old tracks, to kind of like stop and start the beat. It's like every bar or every 2 bars, you just throw like a big 909 crash. Just like that, and then it just hits. So yeah, I really recommend trying that. It's a good way to kind of get that old school feel into your music. From there we got the bass line. So this is honestly like what you would probably call nowadays like a very progressive bass line, right? But what we're doing here is it's just C across 2 different octaves, and we're bouncing between those octaves to create the groove against the kick. And you can see how it all works together. Like, I think what makes a lot of this music really magic, and what a lot of people love that might be missing from nowadays rave music, is like everything really works together. Like, the bass line's really simple on its own, yeah, but put it with all this stuff and you have a groove. And you really want to think about that. It's like, you know, if you have one character's kind of having its scene, right? Like, let's say the breakbeat is like the main character. You got to have your background characters supporting that, right? You can't just have everyone trying to be a main character. So for the sound on this one, it's made with Operator. It's just a square wave with a low pass filter with a little bit of an envelope on it. You know, very simple sound. I find for a bass like this that you just want to be really fat, just keep it as simple as possible. I could sit here and put a bunch of processing on here and tell you it's doing this and this and that, but really, like, this is hitting and this is working. Leave it like that. Then we got this piano. So like I said, we're in the key of C. In this case, it's C minor. Usually for these like ravey sort of feeling tracks, you want to be in a minor key, right, for dance music. So what we're doing here is we're just droning the root note to C, and then we're going third, ninth, third, fourth. It's just those. It's basically 4 voices in the scale creating this, and then you put that against like. And you can see it creates a lot of really nice tension, particularly going from the third to the ninth. Yeah, it's a very epic feeling thing. So for this, I'm actually using a sample of a piano. And the reason I wanted to do this, we could use like the M1 VST or something like that. But you know, a lot of times back in the day, you got to keep in mind like the M1 was a very expensive device. It is now, and it was even in like its glory day when it was the highest tech thing on the market. A lot of these people didn't really have access to that kind of gear, so they were really more so using like samplers and really simple stuff, and then sampling in those kinds of sounds and working with them. So that's why I'm doing this here. Is I'm trying to kind of approximate that. It's like, you know, we're not going to use the M1 with its magical like reverb and multi-sample stuff. No, we're just going to use one sample because, again, we're trying to keep it simple, we're trying to keep it raw, and build something with a very, very simple foundation that hits really hard. So we just got a little release on that, some delay, some reverb. Then we have our wavetable. So yeah, for this lead, I'll show you the notes here. It's like this. So we're in C, but it's kind of like we're doing, okay, so we're doing our root note, our minor 7th, root note, and then that C sharp, which kind of breaks C minor. But that's another thing too with a lot of these classic tracks is like a lot of these people weren't super musically aware as far as music theory and where they are in the scale, right? So you would get little stuff like that where you have this super C minor piano, and then that one note breaking the scale in the lead. But hey, it sounds good, so it is good, right? And so basically that's kind of the idea there. And then over here it's like a more chill, you know, it's like you have the crazy one and then the chill one. For the sound on this one, it's made with wavetable. Like I said, wavetable is really the best for these kinds of crazy synths because you can do a lot with the oscillators. We've got a saw wave here with a bit of pulse width and a bit of sync. There's a bandpass filter here. And then what's happening is we got LFO1, which is this random LFO on the filter frequency. So it's kind of like constantly going to have that in a different place. And then on the oscillator sync, we have this LFO, which is just a straight sine wave, but it's moving really fast. So you get this evolving, morphing sort of sound. And I'll show you what that sounds like with no effects on it real quick, just so you can see. So this is straight out of the synth. Right, these are very like effect heavy sounds. And what we're doing here is we got a phaser with no LFO. It's not being moved, but it's got a high feedback, so it is kind of adding some resonance. And then the distortion, obviously that's where something like this comes to life. It's like you feed it this really juicy sound with the sync on the saw wave and the bandpass with resonance and the phaser. And then once you distort all that, you're going to get that really nice kind of like high energy synth. We got a high pass after that because the distortion definitely adds low end. A little bit of delay, a little bit of hybrid reverb. And there we go. Then we got some vocals. Right, those are just kind of hitting in there, adding a bit more energy. I think it's really not about processing. You know, the processing on these is like there's none on this one, which is another thing with a lot of these old tracks too. Like nowadays, when you have a vocal or something like that, you would probably think, oh, well, let me put a bunch of reverb on it or a bunch of delay because it's a vocal. But, you know, a lot of times, again, with that sort of crude process and just working with a bunch of samplers and not having it laid out like we have it nowadays in Ableton, you know, if you found a sample that kind of had some echo in it already like this, I mean, you don't really need to add delay or reverb to that, right? So we just got that. And then this one does have a little delay, but nothing too crazy. Just a little bit of resonance. And then the final layer here is this other wavetable stab. So what we're doing here is just playing a low C, right? This one's really meant to work together with the other wavetable. right? You can hear the call and response there. So this one is a very similar patch, right? What's happening is we got our saw wave with the pulse width and sync turned up. We got a bandpass filter on this one. So we have the LFO moving the filter, but it's just a sine wave. And then we also have an LFO moving the sync, which looks like that. We're distorting it and then high passing it, and we just get this nice low growl. And I think the key is don't go like too dubsteppy with it, right? You know, you still want it to sound old school, so you don't need to do all this like crazy modern serum type of stuff. Just like work with saw waves and square waves, play with the sync, play with the pulse width, you know, and you'll get these kinds of old school growls. And yeah. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video. It's available at the top of the description on my website. Make sure to go grab that so you can make the best track of your life. Today, I can't wait to hear this track, this template, and all you guys' tracks. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.